Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and all back to October Nights. I'm your friendly neighborhood ghost host, Patrick Smith, and I'm delighted to welcome you back to yet another installment of this ghoulish series, October Nights. And I don't have enough headroom, so I'm going to back up a little bit further. Tonight's film is the fantastic and probably the most wholesome horror film you'll check out this horror holiday season, The Final Girls, directed by Todd Strauss-Schulson. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I could have just butchered it, but I don't have enough time to do a second take, so I'm sorry, man. Here's his name. Will the camera focus? It's really a question of no, of course it won't. Why would it? Starring a whole host of veteran comedic actors, including Adam Devine and Thomas Middleditch, this also has Vera Farmiga's younger sister, Tysa, who is fantastic in the lead role here as one of the titular, final girls. Quick trigger warning, if you've recently had a death in the family and you don't want to talk about the death of parents, it's probably not the movie for you, so skip it. But it is a genuinely beautiful movie, I think, about overcoming grief and learning to live with the ghost of the people that we've lost and learning to realize that they're proud of us. It's a genuinely wholesome movie, even if it is a wee bit horny and horrific. But we'll get to that. So, one of our titular final girls, played by Tysa Farmiga, here named Max, has recently lost her mom and is currently really struggling all over her life. She hasn't been able to really piece herself back together, but is also struggling at school. When one of her acquaintances within her friend group says that he'll do the rest of her homework in the classes she's struggling in if she comes to a screening of a movie that just so happens to have starred her mom, she reluctantly agrees and goes to the screening, despite the fact that it will probably almost definitely bring up some pretty traumatic memories, including where she literally was in a car accident that killed her mother. After a bunch of sci-fi BS that ends with them trying to escape a fire in the theater where they're trying to watch this film, they end up inside the movie. And now they have to deal with a lot of meta humor, obviously, as well as trying to survive a killer, while Max is dealing with the trauma of interacting with her mother via the character she played within Camp Bloodbath, the film within the film. So yeah, it's a lot. And Camp Bloodbath is very clearly a stand-in for, obviously, the Friday the 13th movies with a Jason-esque killer running around. I will say, if you're looking for a much more tame horror film that's on the more wholesome side, this is a great pick because it's only PG-13, so there's no nudity. The violence is pretty tame for what you can get away with in a PG-13 film now. So it's clearly a love letter to this genre, specifically slasher films, and pays tribute to it in a way that I think Scream does, sending it up and simultaneously making a great movie about it, interrogating all the little rules and things that necessitate how things turn out, who gets to be the final girl. It's really cool. And, we have these people who are not supposed to even be in the film that are affecting the outcome of the film and end up, killing off a couple characters that they didn't need to in increasingly comedic ways. This film balances its humor and its horror and its heart so well, and I think it's what makes it one of my favorite movies I watched this month. I can say that because this is being recorded on November the 1st at 11:39 p.m., so I think I can tell you it's one of my favorites, probably top 5 that I saw in October. It was a new film to me, and I really enjoyed it. I regret putting it off. What I think I love the most about it is not only does it do all of that so well and replicate so many of the great things about horror movies, and in particular slasher films that I love, it also has a great cinematic style. There are some incredible, whip pans and cool tracking shots that would not have been possible back in the 80s that we can do with modern technology and clever editing techniques that keep the action flowing and make it feel like one fluid take as we watch a Rube Goldberg destruction and demolition of a bunch of characters we've come to know and love. There are plenty of moments of just absolutely beautiful meta humor as well as neat cinematic techniques that all combine into a great and beautiful package. And when we reach the climax of this film, maybe you'll even shed a couple tears like I did. I know I'm more sensitive than a lot of people, but good God, that is a beautiful way to end a horror film. It got me in the feels, and I loved it. So if you want to laugh and cry, and also be scared in equal measure, you'd be hard-pressed to find something better this horror holiday season than the fantastic film from Todd Strauss-Schulson, The Final Girls. Well, I hope this has been useful to you. I've loved talking about this movie and kind of sharing my thoughts about it. Obviously, don't want to dive into spoilers too much because I think this movie is great and you should totally check it out. If Hulu hasn't dropped it since it's November 1st, because, a lot of streaming platforms are dumping the horror films they held for this entire month, you should go check it out. Hulu tends to keep things around a little bit longer, so I think you might be good for at least a couple more weeks. But seriously, go check this out if you want something a little bit tamer, or maybe something you can watch on the train and not be worried that people are going to look at you funny because you got a bunch of nudity happening on your phone. It's a good movie. It's a lot of fun. You might even cry. It's a great experience, and it's, I think, what horror can do so well. So, thank you for joining us for yet another installment of October Nights. I've been your fantastic ghost host, Patrick Smith, and I've only got one thing left to say to you. Sweet dreams.